I found my fiancé's texts with my best friend planning their future behind my back. I didn't cry. I canceled the wedding and played their messages at the venue. The guests' gasps were epic. Picture this. You're sitting on your couch, scrolling through Netflix trying to pick something to watch with your fiancé when his phone buzzes next to you. Ryan's in the kitchen grabbing us some Bud Lights, and normally I wouldn't even glance at his screen, but the preview message that popped up made my blood run cold. Can't wait until after the wedding when we can finally be together properly. Just one more week of pretending. The message was from Sophia, my best friend since college, my maid of honor. I'm not gonna lie, my hands were shaking as I picked up that iPhone. Ryan had never been secretive about his passcode. It was his birthday, because guys are predictable like that. What I found when I opened those messages absolutely wrecked me, but not in the way you'd think. These two had been planning their whole future together while I was over here stressing about centerpieces and whether the DJ had the right playlist. Sophia was talking about how they'd give it a few months after the honeymoon, before I'd figure it out naturally, and they could be together. Ryan was sending her photos of apartments he wanted them to move into. They were discussing baby names, for crying out loud. The most messed up part? Sophia had been the one helping me pick out my wedding dress just 3 days earlier. She sat there in David's bridal, telling me how beautiful I looked, how Ryan was so lucky, how she couldn't wait to see me walk down that aisle. Meanwhile, she was planning to steal my husband before the marriage certificate was even filed. Ryan came back with the beers, took one look at my face, and knew exactly what had happened. Didn't even try to deny it, just stood there like a deer in headlights holding 2 Budweisers while his whole world came crashing down. How long? I asked him. 6 months, he said quietly. 6 months. Half a year of lying to my face while I planned our wedding. Half a year of Sophia coming over for girls' nights, helping me address invitations, listening to me stress about whether the flowers would arrive on time. All while she was sleeping with my fiancé and planning their life together. Update. Holy cow, the response to this has been incredible. Thank you all for the support. It means more than you know. Some of you are asking if I confronted Sophia immediately. I didn't. I had a better plan brewing. The question is, what would you do with a week until your wedding and solid proof your 2 closest people betrayed you? Instead of screaming or throwing his beer at the wall or having the complete meltdown you'd expect, something weird happened. I got really, really calm. Maybe it was shock, or maybe I just realized that crying wasn't going to fix this. These people had made their choice, and now I was going to make mine. I handed Ryan his phone back and told him I needed some air. Went for a drive in my Honda Civic, ended up at this little Starbucks near our apartment, and started making a list. Not a revenge list, well, maybe a little bit, but more like a practical to-do list. First thing, screenshots. I went back home, and while Ryan was taking what he probably thought was a strategic shower, I went through his phone and documented everything. Messages, photos, voice notes where they were literally planning their future family. I airdropped it all to my phone and backed it up to Google Drive. Then I started making calls. Not to confront anyone, but to handle the logistics. Called the venue coordinator first. Hi, this is regarding the Henderson Walsh wedding this Saturday. I need to discuss some changes. Poor Jennifer at the country club probably thought I was calling about the playlist or something. When I told her there might not be a wedding at all, she got real quiet real fast. Oh, honey, what happened? Let's just say I found out some information that changes things, but I don't want to cancel everything just yet. Can we keep the venue and catering, but maybe adjust the program? Jennifer had been doing weddings for 15 years. She'd seen drama before. What did you have in mind? That's when I explained my plan. Instead of a wedding ceremony, I wanted to host what I called a truth ceremony. Same guests, same beautiful venue, same catering, but instead of exchanging vows, I'd be sharing some information that our friends and family deserved to know. Jennifer was quiet for a long minute. Then she said, honey, I've been waiting 20 years for a bride to do something like this. Let's make it happen. Next call was to my cousin Marcus, who works in tech and owed me a favor from when I helped him move last year. Asked if he could help me put together a little presentation. Nothing fancy, just some screenshots and audio files arranged in a timeline. What kind of presentation? He asked. The kind that's going to save me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Marcus didn't ask questions, just said he'd bring his laptop and projector Saturday morning. The hardest call was to my parents. Mom answered on the second ring, probably expecting me to freak out about some last-minute wedding detail. Sweetheart, how are you feeling? 1 more week. Mom, I need to tell you something, and I need you to not ask too many questions right now. The wedding is off, but I still need everyone to come Saturday. I'm going to explain everything then. Long say, pause. What happened? Ryan and Sophia have been having an affair for 6 months. I found their messages. They were planning to be together after the wedding. I heard my dad's voice in the background asking what was wrong. Mom was crying. Not the dramatic kind, just the quiet kind that moms do when their kids are hurt. What do you need us to do? Dad asked when he got on the phone. Just come Saturday. And maybe warn Uncle Bill to bring tissues. It's going to be a different kind of ceremony. The rest of the week was surreal. Ryan kept trying to talk to me, but I wasn't having it. Sophia texted constantly, casual stuff like, can't wait for Saturday. And, did you pick up your dress? I responded normally because I needed her to show up. The weirdest part was going to the final dress fitting. Sophia came with me, just like we'd planned. Sat there while I tried on this beautiful dress that cost more than my car payment, telling me how stunning I looked. Ryan's going to lose his mind when he sees you, she said, scrolling through her phone. If only she knew that Ryan had already lost his mind, and I had the screenshots to prove it. Friday night, I couldn't sleep, not because of nerves, but because I kept thinking about all the little moments I'd missed, like how Sophia always changed the subject when I talked about honeymoon plans, how Ryan had been working late a lot more often, how they were both weirdly supportive when I suggested having the wedding on a Saturday instead of Friday, probably because it gave them more time to plan whatever they thought was going to happen afterward. Update. You guys are absolutely amazing. Someone asked if I was scared about what I was planning to do. Honestly, I was terrified. But I was more terrified of spending the rest of my life with someone who could lie to my face for 6 months. Some of you are worried about the fallout. Don't be. Sometimes the truth is messy, but it's always better than living a lie. The real question is, would you have the guts to go through with something like this? Saturday morning came faster than expected. I woke up in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house. I'd moved back there Thursday night, telling Ryan I wanted to follow the tradition of not seeing each other before the wedding. Got my hair and makeup done just like we'd planned. Put on that expensive dress. Looked absolutely perfect for a wedding that wasn't going to happen. Sophia texted around noon, "Getting ready. See you soon, beautiful bride." I responded with a heart emoji and a prayer that I could pull this off without completely falling apart. The venue looked incredible. Jennifer and her team had outdone themselves. White roses everywhere, string lights, the whole Pinterest-perfect setup. About 120 people were there, all dressed up, all expecting to watch me marry the love of my life. Instead, they were about to get the show of a lifetime. I waited in the bridal suite until everyone was seated, could hear the string quartet playing, people chatting and laughing. My stomach was doing backflips, but I wasn't backing down. Marcus had set up the projector and screen where the altar usually was. Jennifer made an announcement that there would be a brief presentation before the ceremony began. At exactly 4 p.m., I walked down that aisle, alone. No music, no flower petals, just me in my white dress walking toward a room full of confused family and friends. Ryan was standing at the front, looking handsome in his tux and completely clueless about what was coming. Sophia was in the front row in her bridesmaid dress, beaming like this was the happiest day of her life. I took the microphone from Jennifer and looked out at all these people who'd taken time out of their weekend to celebrate what they thought was my wedding day. Thank you all for being here today. I know this isn't exactly what you were expecting, but I promise you'll understand in a moment. I nodded to Marcus, and the first screenshot appeared on the screen behind me, a text conversation between Ryan and Sophia, dated 3 days ago. Before I make what would have been the biggest mistake of my life, I thought you should all know who you're really celebrating today. The gasps started immediately. People were squinting at the screen, trying to read the messages. Then Marcus played the first voice note, Sophia's voice, clear as day, talking about how she couldn't wait to start their real life together once they got through this wedding charade. You could have heard a pin drop. Someone in the back, I think it was Ryan's aunt, said, "Oh my God," loud enough for everyone to hear. I looked directly at Ryan. His face had gone completely white. 6 months, I said into the microphone. 6 months of planning your future with my best friend while I planned our wedding. Then I looked at Sophia, who was trying to disappear into her chair. And you, helping me pick out flowers while you were picking out apartments with my fiancé. The presentation continued for about 5 minutes. Messages, voice notes, even a photo Ryan had sent Sophia of a ring. Not my engagement ring, but one he was planning to give her later. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. When it was over, I set the microphone down and said simply, "There will be no wedding today, but there will be lunch and an open bar, because you all deserve that much after witnessing this mess." Ryan finally found his voice, started trying to explain, making excuses, saying it wasn't what it looked like. But the evidence was right there on the screen, and everyone had heard it. Sophia bolted, literally ran out of the venue in her bridesmaid dress and heels. I found out later she left her purse and car keys behind and had to call an Uber. Some of Ryan's groomsmen tried to follow him when he left, but honestly, most people stayed. The open bar helped, but I think they were also kind of in shock. My cousin Sarah came up and hugged me so tight I thought she might crack my ribs. That, she said, was the most badass thing I've ever seen. My dad was crying. Happy tears, he said later. Mom couldn't stop hugging me. Even some of Ryan's family came up to apologize and tell me they had no idea. The best part? Everyone stayed for lunch. Jennifer had prepared this amazing spread, and it seemed wrong to waste it. So instead of a wedding reception, we had what my uncle called the greatest revenge meal in family history. Update. I cannot believe how this has blown up. Thank you for all the messages of support. I'm trying to read them all. A lot of you are asking about the aftermath, and trust me, it gets better. Ryan and Sophia both tried to do damage control. But when you have audio and screenshots, there's not much room for alternative explanations. The question everyone's asking now, what happened next? And did I ever regret doing it so publicly? The fallout was swift and brutal, but not for me. Within hours of the ceremony, half of our mutual friends had blocked Ryan and Sophia on social media. Ryan's own mother called me that night to apologize and tell me she was proud of me for standing up for myself. She also mentioned that she'd never really liked Sophia anyway, which honestly made me laugh for the first time in a week. Sophia tried calling me approximately 50 times over the next few days. When I didn't answer, she started texting. Long messages about how sorry she was, how it just happened, how she never meant to hurt me. Classic cheater logic, somehow it's never their fault. Ryan was worse. Showed up at my parents' house Tuesday night, probably 3 beers deep, trying to explain how he got confused and how Sophia had pursued him, like he was some innocent victim in all this. My dad answered the door in his old Marine Corps t-shirt and told Ryan that if he ever showed his face there again, they'd have a problem. Ryan got the message. But here's the thing that really got me. Their relationship fell apart within 2 weeks. Turns out, when you build a relationship on lies and betrayal, it doesn't have much of a foundation. Sophia's sister called me, we'd always been friendly, and told me that Sophia was having a complete breakdown. Apparently, once the excitement of the secret affair wore off, she realized she'd destroyed her reputation and lost all her friends, for a guy who wasn't worth it. Ryan, meanwhile, was dealing with the fact that everyone he knew had seen concrete evidence of what kind of person he really was. Hard to date when your ex-fiancé has screenshots of you planning your future with someone else while she was planning your wedding. They broke up in some dramatic fashion involving Sophia throwing his stuff out of her apartment window. Her neighbors got quite the show, from what I heard. Meanwhile, I was living my best life. Remember all that money we'd saved for the honeymoon? 2 weeks in Italy, flights already booked, hotels already paid for? Well, turns out you can change the name on reservations pretty easily when you have documentation of infidelity. So instead of a honeymoon with my cheating ex-fiancé, I took my mom to Rome. Best decision I ever made. We ate pasta, drank wine, toured the Colosseum, and I finally felt like I could breathe again. Somewhere between the Trevi Fountain and a cooking class in Tuscany, I realized I hadn't just dodged a bullet, I'd dodged a whole firing squad. The cooking class was where I met Giovanni, the chef instructor. Not in a romantic way, though he was definitely easy on the eyes, but he inspired me to think about what I actually wanted to do with my life. I'd been working in marketing for 5 years, mostly because it paid the bills, but I'd always loved cooking. You have good hands for this, Giovanni said while I was struggling with handmade pasta. This is something you could be great at. So when I got back home, instead of jumping back into dating or trying to rebuild my old life, I enrolled in culinary school, used some of the wedding money that we'd gotten back from vendors. Turns out when you can prove your fiancé was cheating, a lot of people are pretty understanding about refunds. Started a blog too, mostly as a way to process everything that had happened. Called it Served Cold. You know, revenge is a dish best served cold, but also because I was learning about cold sauces and appetizers. The pun worked on multiple levels. The blog took off faster than I expected. Turns out a lot of people have been in similar situations, and they connected with the story of someone who chose themselves instead of accepting betrayal. I started getting messages from people all over the country, sharing